I'm with vastsolutionsgroup.com. We're not really here to talk about vastsolutionsgroup.com. Really, what I'm going to be talking about is really this new joint venture we're doing and why I do it, or why I decided to do it. And, really kind of go all the way back to the beginning, basically starting as a business guy and then all of a sudden deciding to do such a huge venture. I'm having a lot of people who are calling asking and saying, well, it's about time you did something like this. And, what's the reasoning for it? Is it a good thing or a bad thing? And I know it's a good thing for, our clients, but it's also a good thing for me as a business person. And it's kind of, I guess, one way of looking at it, I'm maturing as a business person. I have this thing called Diary of a Failed Entrepreneur, because I know I could have been a lot bigger deal. And I decided to go a number of different paths, raise a family, start some nonprofits, some baseball clubs. And basically what happened was, I jokingly say I'm a failed entrepreneur, although I've done halfway decently, but I definitely haven't done nearly as well as I could. And I'm opening the door, basically letting people realize that, and hopefully people can learn from my mistakes as a business person and actually figure out that, well, wait a minute, if I do stuff the right way, if I listen to people like Kenner or other business people, maybe they'll succeed. And learn from my failures. So, let me, I guess, explain a little bit about this new joint venture, and then you can put everything into perspective. And also, I'll let you know a little bit about me. So, the bottom line is, I'm with vastsolutionsgroup.com. Now, I basically, let's say, manage it. I have a number of different employees and staffers who run it, and we are entering into an agreement with Asset Defense Team, and that is Bob Bloom. He's the godfather of asset protection. Great attorney. I've known him for years. I was referred to him by a guy who's now in our company, Marco Sanchez, and he said, hey, you got to do business with this guy. And I said, oh, all right. I've met with him. We've referred business back and forth, and we kind of came to the conclusion that we're going to work together. So we started another joint venture. It went well. And then we just said recently, about 6 months ago, hey, dude, we're green lighting this. We're really going to make it a real go of it to kind of combine our entities. My company, vastsolutionsgroup.com, his company, Asset Defense Team. So the conglomeration is vastassetdefense.com. So it's a joint venture. Again, it's a 50-50 joint venture. We do tax, finance, and artificial intelligence. We also do commercial property finance. And what he does is asset protection and estate planning. So we're bringing them together again under vastassetdefense.com. Now let me take you back. So I'm a Washington resident. I live in a little island called Bainbridge Island, Washington. He lives in Dallas, and I basically started years ago. Basically in business. Started out in New York, did the whole Wall Street thing, the old finance thing. And then went back to Seattle for a while, went to San Francisco, worked at Wells Fargo. I was a vice president of institutional trust there, and then moved up and worked for small little companies, called, at first Mercer Investment Consulting, William and Mercer, huge investment company. Then Mercer Consulting, Mercer Investment Consulting, then a company called Pacific Portfolio Consulting. Then luckily I got a job at ING, which really propelled me to work with small business owners. And that's really what really gave me the inclination to work with small business owners. So basically I said, well, wait a minute, small business owners have an issue. And what is the issue? Taxes. All the guys and girls I was working with that figured out that they all had huge tax liability. The funny thing is I hated working with taxes in college. Absolutely hated it. And grad school, I hated it. But when I saw that all of them, all these guys and girls were making mass money, all my clients when I was with ING, they're making a lot of money, but they were all getting crushed with taxes. Not to pick a state, but California, they're paying mass in taxes. Some of our clients were in Oregon, some of them are in Washington. And the biggest issue that I found is, well, sure, human resources, well, that's an investment. So that's not going to kill you in any way. Hopefully you're making money on your employees, on your 1099 contractors. But taxes is something you can do to lower your or increase your net income. Obviously, if you can lower your taxes. So many people were, I was figuring out that the only way to really combat the biggest expense is knowing the tax rules. So I went out, did mass consultation with tax attorneys, et cetera, to help me to understand the tax code. I know I would say the tax code better than pretty much anyone with respect to qualified plans, that and small business owners. I love that. That's my passion, right? And at the same time, not only do I have that passion, but also have we employed all these CPAs and EAs, et cetera, who are knowledgeable in small business arena. Then the question is, why did you go down the path of small businesses? Because that's the market that everyone forgets about. I thought, well, wait a minute. What I can do is help lower the tax liability for the small business owner, help their net income. Then we're all better. Combine that with technology, because there was no tech stack as far as tax liability. Really, I mean, everyone says, oh, you can use the stupid tax programs out there. No offense if you're a provider of tax programs, but they just only go so far. There was no tax software that helped to prognosticate taxes like they should. Everyone could provide tax, what your tax liability is going to be in April 15th, but at the same time, well, why? That's like I give the analogy of driving down the road, looking in the rearview mirror, and it's like, here, this is your tax liability, April 15th, write a check, Mr. or Mrs. Business Owner. Well, no, instead of driving down the road, looking in a rearview mirror, going 55 miles per hour, what you should be doing is, one thing, looking forward. So if you know your tax liability, try to path out your tax liability in line with your cash flow. Well, then you can put things in place to lower your tax liability. It seems simple, but so many people, so many tax providers, professional advisors don't do that. And so that became a passion, to lower tax liability for small business owners. I personally believe in real estate for lowering tax liability, for two things: increasing net worth and also lowering tax liability. So hence the reason I don't want to say I force people, but I have investors go down the path of looking at real estate. Real estate, I think, is an avenue to increasing net worth in a big way, but also the tax code loves real estate investments. There's two things the tax code loves, I would say, and it's funny that I would say anything with respect to the tax code is love, right? But number one, owning a business, and number two, real estate. Two things in the tax code, and this is over years, it's even more so become the case. Owning a business and real estate really helps an investor increase their net worth and also lowers tax liability. It's just in the tax code. It's embedded in the tax code, and it's embedded in us as an ethos in the United States to be a business owner and then also have a tax liability to reduce based on real estate. So anyway, it's in the tax code. It is what it is, right? So what you have to do, therefore, in my opinion, is, invest in real estate as a foundation for your investment, number one, and then number two, make sure you're paying attention to the taxes, because you, as a business owner, if you're investing in LLCs or whatever the case is, if you're paying attention to your taxes, lowering your tax liability to the extent possible, your net worth is going to increase. So it's a no-brainer to have a business and invest in real estate. And so it grew. It's grown on me that wait a minute, you should also then combine taxes with putting a moat around your assets, or basically, how back in the old days they used to have castles. They would put water around it so the bad guys, if you will, wouldn't run up on your castle. Well, same thing for asset protection. If all these people, especially our clients, by the way, all of our clients at vastsolutionsgroup.com, they're all over the country, literally all over the country, from West Coast to East Coast, north to south. We have clients literally all over the country. I think of them as a big U. We go from Oregon, California, Texas, Florida, all the way up to New York and Massachusetts, mainly. A lot of, that's, and of course some in the heartland of the United States, but that's just generally speaking how our clients are geographically are dispersed. But what I would say is, and I would say this is pretty important. If you're going to have a moat around your business, sure, we as non-attorneys can really we can work with clients to the extent possible. But then again, if you really, really want to have a good asset protection format in place, you have to work with the top attorneys, that being Bob Bloom. He's the godfather of asset protection in the United States. He's been doing it for years. He took over the practice of a guy named Jay Mitten, who is the father, I would say, of asset protection in the United States. He turned over his business because he trusted Bob Bloom, again, with vastassetdefense.com, who we're doing the strategic alliance with for vastsolutionsgroup.com. So by Jay turning over his business to Bob, one, I believe, because I knew of Jay, that Jay was the man as far as asset protection goes. So I thought, well, wait a minute, if we're going to do real estate consultation in effect with taxes, as I mentioned before, well, who else to do a joint venture with like vastassetdefense.com except for Bob, because Bob knows, the godfather of asset protection. He's the man. He's the guy you want to deal with when working with with clients, right? I want to make sure that all of our clients are taken care of because, again, most of our clients are real estate investors. Most of our clients need asset protection. By the way, most of our clients are high net worth. So, well, who else better to help than Bob? Now, I was afraid of doing, I'm going to step back a little bit. I was afraid of doing a joint venture because, man, here I've taken over a company basically that was started by a guy named Gary Coons back in 1969. And man, he was the man. That guy's the nicest guy. Sadly, he just passed away. He was so nice to his clients. He's so nice to his family, man. Just a great, great guy, right? So I feel like I entrust a lot of clients entrust their life with me. So I thought, well, wait a minute. Am I doing the right thing by working with Bob? Because who knows? You just not only Bob, but anyone as far as asset protection or any joint venture. It's a scary process because what you're doing is you're giving up some of the control. I will admit, I have some control issues when it comes to business. I mean, I have a bad control issue, but the more I've worked with Bob, it's shown me that it makes sense to work with him because, I mean, I have so much trust in him. You have to, and this is what I've learned more so than ever. If you're going to, and I've been in business for a long time, as you can tell, I'm old. You got to be careful who you're going to business with. You just never know, right? And all my work, all my research, all the clients who've provided us feedback when they've been working with Bob, if I've referred them to Bob, they are all in love with him. They all say that he cares about him. Sure, he needs to make money, just like any attorney, just like any business guy. But at the same time, they all give me good feedback from him. Plus, as a business guy, I know he's sure he has to take his own interest at heart, but at the same time, he's going to take my interest at heart at the same time. He's I would say the perfect business partner, because he really does care about the client. He wants to make sure on the other side, I'm taken care of and he's taken care of. He, though, at first and foremost, puts the client, their benefit in first position. Very important. I feel comfortable as a result. Because he does that. We have that mutual thought of, well, put the client in first position, then you're going to be taken care of, because everything else flows after that. So I think that answers the question, well, why did you do this joint venture with Bob or with anyone? One, we've grown our business from 1969 all to when I took it over in 2006 to now to work with someone who can help our clients put a moat around their business, or a moat around really the real estate, so to protect their assets. Because now, can you imagine being 60 years old, or whatever the year of age is, working your whole life? Let's just say it's 30 years, whatever the case is, you've amassed a huge net worth, and one stupid, crazy lawsuit, so, habitual litigator, I've seen those, by the way, a habitual litigator comes up and takes all your assets. If you're 60 years old, or 70 or whatever the case is, it's hard to start over. Well, this is one way of not having to start over, because, well, you have someone who's taking care of your assets before the issues raise their ugly head. Now, let me explain a little bit about asset protection, because I know some of the people who are watching and listening to this are probably tax clients. So they might use us or whomever for taxes, and they might not know about asset protection. Now, let me explain asset protection. So, I think of it as insurance. Some people don't like insurance, but man, remember my example of the 60-year-old, losing all their assets? Well, in this case, if you have a good asset protection foundation in place, let's say Bob Bloom of vastassetdefense.com puts together your structure, right? It's a solid structure. But now at the same time, you have a habitual litigant out there who's got an attorney who's going to make 30% of whatever the take is, right? Well, they're coming in looking at a structure that is rock solid. Let's say it's rock solid. And that attorney is looking at taking 30 or 40% of the take. Let's say someone's net worth $10 million. That attorney and that client can make 40% or $4 million on that $10 million asset estate, right? Well, wait a minute. If it's mass work, are they going to, let's just say the work is more than 4 million, just pretending, are they going to continue to attack that well-structured plan? Is the answer yes or no? The answer is probably no, right? But now, likewise, let's say they don't, let's say the habitual litigant and the attorney find someone with $10 million and they have a horrible asset protection. No, let's say they have no asset protection. Everything's owned in their name. Okay? Makes sense? So now we have a habitual litigant, an attorney who's looking at someone who has no good foundation in place. Okay? Now, are they going to go after that person, or are they going to go after a person who's got a good estate asset protection plan in place that's put together by Bob? Well, you tell me. Probably not. They're probably not going to go after a Bob client. They're probably going to go after someone who's got all their assets in their own name. A lot of our clients, the average net worth was back in the day $19 million for active new client. I don't know what the number is now, but man, I don't want our clients to lose any money, right? Because they've entrusted in us at vastsolutionsgroup.com to make sure they're taken care of. Well, if we have the insurance premium of having Bob working with our clients, of let's just say it costs, I don't know, $1,500. Let's say Bob charges $1,500, whatever the number is, for a good asset protection formation in place. Well, that could save the client money versus losing whatever I said, $4 million. So now you understand why I believe that right now is the right time to work with our clients, because I want to make sure our clients are taken care of. Now, it's again, going back to the issue of me losing control, because I'm going to lose some control, which I fully admit. But then again, man, I feel so much better because Bob is the man. His whole team knows exactly what's going on with asset protection. Again, I'm going to go back to the viewpoint of Jay Mitten. So we started an entity, right? AssetDefense.com. And basically what we've done is 50% of the assets are from here, my company, 50% of the assets are from Bob's company, and basically we're combining it. So what's going to happen is we're still going to, this is an open book. I'm being an open book. So whenever we give a referral to Bob through VastAssetDefense.com, and whenever he gives us a referral, it basically is going to go through, think of it as a cauldron, and then all of a sudden it goes to us. And then if we give him a lead, it goes through there to VastAssetDefense.com and then to his company. So the mechanics are, we had an agreement in place, a joint venture agreement, kind of outlining some of the specifics of that company and some of the actions, the responsibilities, what happens if we dissolve the company. So basically it was a pretty painless process. So now that we know by looking at the LLC agreement, as it's called, and some sub-documents, so we know exactly how the system will work between us. The ownership percentage, the expense responsibilities, what to do when this happens, what to do when that happens. And what I would say is, if you have a good agreement in place, as Bob's taught me so well, if you have a good agreement in place, well, always look back at that agreement. Think of it as a constitution. Does that make sense? Think of it as a constitution when it comes to the operations of the business. Now, is this advisable? I had a question. Is it advisable for a small business owner to do a strategic alliance, something like this? I would say it really depends. I've even, because remember, we've been in business at vastsolutionsgroup.com since 1969. We have tons of agreements in place. Well, simplicity in the workforce. So meaning a lot, I'll just say it, everything's going to be a lot more simple and dumbed down. So what I believe in as a business owner, more so now than ever, is the value of a community. So we're starting, and we are now just launching this thing called the Vast Vault. We're going to be doing our own community so people can do a lot more things on their own. So, because I want to be an open book when it comes to estate planning, taxes, finance, artificial intelligence. So we're starting a community for only $29 a month where people could join the community and they get training. It's going to be basically a democratic group where we're going to be listening to the members of that community. Get it? The Vast Vault. They're entering the Vast Vault, secrets, right? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be led by that group. In effect, we already have some feedback. We already know some of the things we're going to be doing. We're going to be meeting once a month, and this things called vast casts, which are basically almost like webinars, a little bit more added value than webinars. What else is going to be a part of that vast cast for vast vault for $29 a month? Well, we're going to have, I'm looking at my cheat sheet. Access to some of our content that's exclusive and some that's not exclusive. We're going to be meeting once a year in Las Vegas. We're going to have exclusive team only member meetings. We're going to have subgroups of the Vast Vault. So they're going to be specific elements of items that people who are members of the Vast Vault who've asked us about. So we're going to have, let's say one's on tax, one's on estate planning, one's on go to their own estate planning attorney, or they could go to Bob at, and his team, either one. But I guess what I'm saying is we're putting, if you will, different tiers together. So the foundation, the Vast Vault, people who want to do it themselves or can't afford it, or new clients. Because by the way, we've had some clients who've asked us, well, wait a minute, I'm just starting out. Can you guys give us a break? Well, yeah, to the extent possible, we want to give breaks, but there's some time. I mean, Bob's hourly rate is $800, right? $800. That's his rock bottom rate, right? And then my rate's $2,500 an hour. I gotta assume there's a lot of people who can't afford that. So if we put this together and people could obtain access into this group, the Vast Vault, for $29 a month, who knows? Maybe we can make the next Google out of it, right? I'm fine with someone paying $29 a month and using all the resources as it relates to that group. Because man, if they end up growing, hey, it'll be because of our community. I know our community. We have a community in our database. We have 16,000 people, or no, mistake, 12,000 people in our database. 12,000 people. Bob's got 6,000 people in his database. So just think about that. 18,000 people. There's going to be some people who are going to be able to add value to other parts of the community in the Vast Vault. Number one. Number two, there's going to be huge networking. I can tell there's going to be huge networking. I just got a text from a guy who said he loves helping newer entrepreneurs. He just wrote a book. Well, last year, just wrote a book. And he said he wants to help in any way he can because he wants to help some of the people in the community, because he knows this, because we just announced it just recently about the merger or strategic alliance that I mentioned. Again, who am I, by the way? My name is Kenner French with vastsolutionsgroup.com. Just entering into an agreement with Bob Bloom of Asset Defense Team, and we are forming vastassetdefense.com, a 50-50 venture that's going to be tax finance, artificial intelligence. We do commercial property finance, but now because of the conglomeration and the merger, we do asset protection, also estate planning. So it's a one-stop shop for, as I call it, the modern entrepreneur. So anyway, just wanted to set the stage. By the way, it's kind of important. I knew I'd forget this. So on Monday, on July 22nd at 11 a.m. Pacific, we're going to be having a vast cast, and it's basically we're going to be adding some value for entrepreneurs, where we're going to be talking about, we're going to do some step ups. We're going to talk about kind of what to do as a new entrepreneur, if you're a brand new entrepreneur, all the way to, let's say, a middle to high level entrepreneur, some of the things to think about with respect to tax, finance, artificial intelligence, commercial property finance, because a lot of our people are commercial property financiers who are going to want to be a part of this community. So it's going to be, again, July 22nd. At 11 o'clock Pacific. I'm going to be in there speaking. Liliana Faulkner is going to be in there speaking. And then also Bob Bloom, as I keep mentioning, who's with Asset Defense Team, also now Vast AssetDefense.com. Anyways, because you guys have been a part of this so far, I'm gonna give a little bonus, which I think is going to add value. I wrote a book a while back. It's called The Entrepreneur's Manifesto, a collection of smart for all these years doing social media. And he's like, well, what's the difference now? Well, for one, I think the only way going forward, actually, this company is now big enough that, it's going to far outlive me and Bob. Although I think I'm going to live forever, but it's going to, and we want to have systems in place for the younger employees, right? So I figured, well, the only way going forward to succeed as a company is having a good system. Our system's rock solid, thank gosh. But now what we're doing is preparing for down the road. And I know down going forward, everything's going to be social media driven. Even if it's AI, but if you have a live AI, I think going to go a lot farther. Hence the reason we're doing more lives. We're going to do many more lives. Because everything is going to be on everything on social media is going to be fake going forward, or at least AI generated. By the way, we're going to be doing some AI generation as well, as far as advertising. But at the same time, what we wanted to do, what I thought important, was to do some lives via social media. Now, back in the olden days, people would do, they would have a storefront. Whatever, let's say you're on Main Street. Well, that and maybe Yellow Pages, White Pages, that was the way to get business, right? Now, people will be laughing at me. I know my buddies are going to be laughing at me. I can tell 1,000 of them are laughing at me right now because I'm on social media, even though I used to joke about it. But going forward, the only way to do business really going forward is going to be via the internet and social media. And luckily we have things that are starting to get in place where we're systematizing the lead flow, because that's what it's going to come down to. And really, ultimately, again, I'm an open book. Everything's going to be really fed down to our $29 a month. Want it done for them? Well, they're going to have to pay a premium. They're going to have to pay a premium to talk to Bob. Speaking of Bob, now Bob as a favor to our clients, and he's going to do this as a favor just in general. If someone wants a half an hour consultation with Bob, meaning 30 minutes with Bob on the asset protection side, 30 minutes free as a bonus, if you email us at info@vastsolutionsgroup.com, info@vastsolutionsgroup.com, you'll be sent, basically it's a client intake, or I'll call it client intake, and you're going to fill that out, and you'll be able to have a half an hour consultation with Bob about asset protection. Same thing goes for estate planning. 30 minutes of a free consultation with Bob. So what you do is, again, you email us. If you're interested in this, you email us at info@vastsolutionsgroup.com, info@vastsolutionsgroup.com. You're going to get three things, including the book. 30-minute estate planning consultation with Bob. 30-minute, if you want it, asset protection consultation with Bob. And also my book, The Entrepreneur's Manifesto, a collection of smart financial advice. Again, basically a manuscript of some of the articles that I've written. I'm a former Forbes.com small business contributor. I've also done a lot of work as far as I've written for LinkedIn. I've written some articles. You go out there on the internet. I have 3 books out there. Anyway, whatever. I'm not here to brag about myself. But I guess what I'm saying is there's 3 giveaways we're doing as basically, well, Bob's doing them for me as a favor, but also more than anything, it's to celebrate the launch, because this is a big deal. Now I'm going to speak and be smart, aren't I? Right. Especially because I was invested in NVIDIA, and I won't even go into that. And then at the same time, here we have now, at least people are starting to talk about, maybe the nerds are a little bit more so, maybe a little bit less than the sub nerds are starting to talk about quantum computing. Yeah, well, just wait in 10 years when you're seeing that quantum computing is taking over everything, and everyone's like, wow, this is the smartest thing ever. By the way, I can't believe I'm bringing this up. I remember I was in a debate in Clubhouse. I run the tax club. We have 10,000 people, by the way. But anyway, we were in a conversation with another guy who's a big tax guy, very, very big tax guy. He's kind of the guru of venture capital, one of the gurus of venture capital in Canada. And he was laughing at me, and we were on a panel. He was laughing at me about artificial intelligence, about, it's not going to go anywhere. This was 2020. And now, by the way, he is kind of one of the foremost gurus of AI in Canada. Now, think about that. So here we have a guy who absolutely hated AI, thought it wasn't going to go anywhere, and he was in the tech space, and he was a big guru. And now, all of a sudden, he's a big guru in AI. Now, I guess my point is, if you really think about it, there's a lot of people who are out there saying they're big AI people. By the way, beware. I shouldn't really be ripping on this guy about this, but at the same time, I should be. But because I'm sure he's researched a lot about AI, but there's a lot of people who are going to be talking about AI who know nothing about it, who are brand new into the world. I was just talking to a very, 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 very senior AI guy. He's writing a second book about AI, and he had the same, who was a noted attorney for estate planning and asset protection. and again, my name is Kenneth French. Been with vastsolutionsgroup.com since '06. And this company has been around since 1969. And what Vast Solutions Group does is tax finance and artificial intelligence. We also do commercial property finance and a host of other things. But now I'm going to get to the two things that we've really taken on, basically because there was the demand from the clients. There's two things. One, commercial property finance. Why is it that we've gone down that road of commercial property finance? Well, about not quite a year ago, clients were having a hard time. Remember, all of our clients basically are real estate investors. A lot of them are entrepreneurs. A lot of them were having a hard time getting financing for buildings. So we just kind of said, well, wow, all right, if you need a $10 million loan, as an example, you have $10 million, well, just go to the bank, right? So we basically said, well, after hearing, we're not getting any financing, okay, we're going to get financing, either because we have relationships with banks that might not be, that might be a little off the beaten path, or we have a bunch of clients on the tax side or on the finance side who can help get finance, or who can help finance, either one, right? So that's the reason we decided to go down the path of commercial property finance. And we have a couple of platform providers where we have access to mass banks, and we also have access to mass private lenders. We have one client who's got almost unlimited funds. I mean, he's well over $1 billion, and he's aggressively trying to go into real estate right now. Anyway, so that's one reason that's one thing we decided to do at the demand of our clients here at vastsolutionsgroup.com, and consultation as a group, one to many. They're going to get a lot of consultation as it relates to, well, how to automate small business. So there's going to be some small businesses that are going to percolate out of that group. Again, if we're billing $2,500 an hour, and or $800 an hour, whatever the case is, it's hard for business owners. So hopefully it's going to be a little bit easier because we've got that $29 a month option, the Vast Vault. All right, so I should probably remind myself and the viewers and listeners out there one last thing. On Monday, July 29th at 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific, we're going to have what we call a Vastcast. We're going to talk about added value elements for business owners, tax finance, artificial intelligence, commercial property finance, and also a little bit about estate planning and asset protection. I'm going to be on there. Liliana Faulkner is going to be on there, and also Bob Bloom. Well, I'm just about to close up shop, but man, I've had fun. This is my first ever that I've known of live stream. And by the way, why do I say that I've known of? Because me and Liliana did a little live stream. We weren't really sure if we were being recorded or not, and we were, and it was a live stream. I had fun with it, but then again, it wasn't really official. So this is official. So the takeaway is for you, hopefully we've added some value. You now know a little bit about some of the ideas, why I decided to join to do the strategic alliance. I'm opening myself up. I'm leaving a legacy that's going to bring in business, but I'm leaving a legacy. So I'm going to just kind of give an overview of this one last time. My name's Ken. Well, whatever the group wants to talk about, we suspect it's going to be because of our expertise: tax finance, artificial intelligence, commercial property finance, asset protection, estate planning, kind of the whole gamut for things that are going to help the modern day entrepreneur. Now, at the same time, remember, email us at info@vastsolutionsgroup.com. You get a copy of the book, Entrepreneur's Manifesto, a collection of smart financial advice, articles that I've written. You're going to love it. By the way, it's free, Free, free. You got to like that. Free, you know what that is? 30 minutes consultation with Bob, the godfather of asset protection. 30 minutes estate planning with Bob. So that's three things we're giving away as bonuses. And that's celebrating this vastassetdefense.com, the strategic alliance between Bob's asset defense team and also us here on the tax side at vastsolutionsgroup.com. I'm Kenneth French. I'm opening myself up to this new social media thing. I'm going to have fun with it. It's going to be my legacy. We're going to help the younger kids who are going to be taking over the company down the road. And the company is, kind of in closing, it's a tax, finance, and artificial intelligence company on the Vast Solutions Group side. And we're going to help some businesses out there. And hopefully by opening up, you're going to see from the ground level what it's like for, someone who's been in business for many, many years, Bob and I, who are, putting together a joint venture, who's, basically starting our own little company together that's sure we have a huge head start with us being around since 1969 at vastsolutionsgroup.com and his company. But you'll see a lot. You're gonna. I think you're gonna learn a lot as if you're new. I like talking from my hot tub. Anyway, once again, Kenneth French, vastsolutionsgroup.com. I'm having fun with this. Bye, kids.